Hey guys, welcome back to Blue Archive. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at Binah, the raid boss, the Total Assault, whatever you want to call it. It's still early, so a lot of people won't be optimized for raids yet. So what I want to look at is some of the characters you can build, some of the team formations, because like there's certain specialists that you want to put with certain teams to sort of optimize the damage and stuff like that, and just give you guys some basic tips along the way. There are more advanced things which we'll look at in the future, like using certain teams at certain points to avoid the transition phases. But I think at this stage for this boss, people aren't going to have too many things built in general. The people who do have 3 teams built, for, let's say, are probably not going to need this video. So that's what we're going to look at. So first of all, what I'll do is I'll jump in and I'll show you just my team. Don't forget, you can do the mock battles. You make sure you do use your actual battles at some stage, but you make use of the mock battles if you've got some spare time to test your teams before you go in and just dump them. So the first thing I'm going to look at is my team that I am using as my main damage team. So this is my main damage team. Now, Iori, fantastic. These two great free-to-play options. We've got a 1-star and a 2-star, both fantastic. Binah, basically, she just gives herself an attack buff and does some really big single-target damage. If she doesn't move, she deals more. She doesn't really move, so there you go. Akane has a defense break, which is really nice, and helps with this. Iori is just massive damage. Iori is just great at this raid. And then Tsurugi, because she's a damage dealer with a little bit of sustainability. She's not a top-tier unit for this raid. If I had the paintball chick, I'd be using her in this team, but I don't. Or if I had the SMG chick, sorry, I forget names, but I'd be using them instead. But at least Tsurugi, she's something I did pull that I can use and I can throw in that team and get some effectiveness out of her. Now, when we look at my specialist, even though I do have Hibiki, in this team, I'm using Katama and I'm using Serena. Now, Serena, because sometimes I do need a heal and it's a low-cost heal and it's really nice. On the very hard stage where I'm at, this whole team survives with this formation, so I don't need any other heals. And then I've got Kotama in this one, because this one has my best damage dealers in the assault positions. And they're the ones that I want to give the attack buff. Like, Iori is the most important thing for me to attack buff in this. Kotama also has an attack break for the enemy, which is really nice on top of that. But that is my basic team. Some things you can look at, let's say you don't have any 3-stars at all. The 2 units that you could use, except it does become very expensive. I'm using 2 3-cost units. We've got Junko over here. She's actually not bad for this. I'm actually looking at building her for my other team. And the other one is Nonomi, who we get from that like 7-day event thing. I just haven't clicked summon on mine, so I'm looking at building her as well. There's some other options that you can use. Now, don't be afraid. For instance, for me, Aru, I could use Aru and stuff like that. She is in my second team. But you know, you've at the end of the day, you're not going to be able to build every character in the game. You're going to run it. I'm out of experience at the moment, so I can't really build anything else. I'm hoping to build some more before the end of the day. But yeah, you've just got to play with what you've sort of got available to you at the time. And then this is literally my second team because it's just units that I have built. Now, if you're building a second team, and you're like me and you don't have really any optimized characters, like I've got 2 tanks, like it's just completely useless, but it's all I got. Use whatever you have. Try and avoid blue damage because blue damage is going to do nothing. Red damage is at least going to do something. And you can see down here, I've only got Hibiki, even though I do have Fuka in here available to me. The thing about Fuka is I don't want to bring her into this team because I don't care if my tanks die. And you only have 3 ability slots, and the only 3 abilities that I want to use are Hibiki, Aru, and old mate here. I can't remember her name. What's her name? Mitsuki. That's it. I just said it before. But they're the only 3 abilities I want to use. And if I put my Fuka in there, I'll end up at like every rotation, I will end up with a point where I am stuck with the 3 abilities available to me being my 2 tanks and my healer. And those are abilities I don't want to use. So that's just a little tip. If you're looking at, you know, building your second team and you're like me and you're not quite optimized. So just keep that in mind. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to jump over to the archive.gg, which is like the database site. And we'll just take a look at some units over there because it's just easier to look at for some different ideas for you guys. Okay, here we are, the archive.gg. I'll leave this linked in the description. Now, this has been taken off of, I believe, the JP meta. I believe that's where he got the site. Got the tier lists and stuff like that. So take everything with a grain of salt and keep in mind that some of these characters like these guys aren't actually in the game yet. So When we look at this, so obviously Hibiki, really good damage. Like I said, I prefer not using Hibiki in my main team yet. Same with like the Karen. I feel like the optimal main team when you have your main assault damage dealers, do they call them assault? I can't remember what they actually call them. But yeah, like when your main 4 are like really good damage dealers and you go on that YOLO vibe, I really do like using Kotama and Serena. Depending on your levels and all that stuff, you can change that up. But that's what I like. When you got the big chicks on deck that are doing the big deeps, you want them getting buffed by Kotama, and then you can use like the Karen and Hibikis in your other teams where, you know, you're just trying to get the damage through them and not necessarily needing the buffs for the others, if that makes any sort of sense. Hopefully it does. Now, Maki, she would, like I said, Maki would definitely, she's the paintball chick. She would definitely go in my team replacing Tsurugi if I could, because I just think she's way better. On top of that, I don't know. I kind of like Fina a little bit more than Nonomi personally because I like the lower cost, the 4 compared to 5. But, you know, based on this tier list, I could put Nonomi in that main team. I will build Nonomi and test that, whether it is. But for me personally, like, I feel like one of the ideal teams would be like Maki with Iori, along with a Kane. And then it's a really tough choice on the final position. I actually really like Neru because the thing that you also have to balance out is the energy cost of abilities, because I really do like her because she's got a 2 energy cost, pretty good single target nuke. The thing I don't like about Nonomi, like I said, is how expensive the ability is, and it just gets really steep on the investment. For energy. But, you know, anything like that with these characters, you're going to be pretty good. If you have Maki and Iori in a team, you're pretty much set to go from there. As long as you can get them both in the field of the buff that you drop from Kotama, you're pretty much good. And like I said, Serena, just really good for those YOLO teams, get you a little bit of heals, but also doesn't cost too much when you do try and execute on that heal. But like I said, Maki, fantastic. Deals damage equal to, it's like a big damage attack, and increases her attack power by 41.9% for 30 seconds. It's really nice. Every 25 seconds, she marks an enemy and reduces their defense by 18.3% for 15 seconds. Not too bad. And then when attacking a marked enemy, she deals additional damage equal to 14.9%. She's like just built for raids, basically. She is like just completely built for raids. And that's why she's fantastic. Some other units to keep an eye on. Like I said, Junko, not bad, but once again, has a 5 cost ability. Neru, I absolutely love. Who else do I really like out of these options? You know, if you're building Tsurugi or Samir, however you want to say it, you know, go ahead and throw them in. They're not bad options. And then as we go down, I don't think Haruna should be this high. Like, you know, if you got a Shun and, you know, you got nothing else built, Shun's not bad. Shiroko ain't too bad. But remember, these guys are red damage dealers, and that's why they're down lower. They're not actually getting the buffs. If these guys were yellow damage dealers, they'd be upper tier. It's just, you know, the way it is. You know, like I said, I'm using Aro and Mitsuki because that's all I have. So you've just got to make the most of what you've got. But the basic idea is you want to get those the strong damage dealers in your main 4 and then try and buff them and get as much damage out of that team as possible. And then on your other teams, you want to use your Hibikis and Karens if you have them to get that extra damage. But what we might do is I'll jump over and I'll go through a test run and show you guys where I'm at anyway. Okay, so we'll jump in. Like I said, I'll go into very hard. I can't do it yet, so I'm waiting for the end of the day. Hopefully build up 1 or 2 more units if I can, and maybe have a fair crack at this to try and get a better score. But we'll see what we can do. But I'll just jump in with this team and basically show you the general strategy that I do. Now, I've been play around with formations as well in the test runs. If I have my formation like this, then the boss will always attack Tsurugi, but the problem is Iori bounces into Tsurugi's, into the hitbox of the boss. Whereas when I do this, often the boss will shift and attack a Kane, but then it'll miss everyone else. So I've been experimenting with positioning, because positioning can be a big one as well. So let's just jump in. We'll hit mobilize and see what we can do. So like I said, I normally get this guy down to about 5 health bars left. So I get to about 80% of his health between my 2 teams, but my second team just absolutely sucks. So we'll see what we can do here. Let's get into it. This blue stacks being broken, so I don't know what that is. The other thing is you want to manage your sort of cooldowns as well. Because I've got a buff and I've got Iori, I'm going to go ahead and buff these 3 and then go straight into Iori to get that damage. I would have rather have the defense break up before I used Iori, but because I didn't, you know, we just got to make it happen. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use Turret, going to get her buff going and then go straight into the defense break. And then what I'm hoping to do is pull up here. We'll pull up to 6. And then we'll go ahead and buff this. So I'm going to have to buff these 2 because I really want to buff Iori here. So Iori's going to get the attack up and then she's going to go ahead and do some attacks and she's going to disappear out of the screen and we're not going to know what's going on. Now with this chick, with the turret chick, just keep in mind she's still got her attack buff up, so you don't want to overlap it. It doesn't like add to the time, it resets the time. I'm pretty sure that is the way it works. So we don't want to waste that. We're going to go ahead and use that one to get some damage in. We're going to have to pop some heals now as well because Tsurugi is getting low. Unfortunately, okay, now this is where we change the boss's attack. Like I said, it works quite well in this one, and now I can actually get my buff on those 3 and then we can go straight into you. And as you can see, so now that boss, like with this positioning, is only attacking that one unit, and it's when we needed it to happen. So it's like, it's not too bad the way it actually operates here. And I'm just going to go ahead and pop a quick little heal on her. I wonder if I can get her out of range. No, couldn't get her out of range. Rip the dream. Okay, it looks like the boss is actually hitting my turret chick, which normally she isn't. But once again, I'm going to go with that buff. I think the boss is about to move, and then we'll go straight into you as well, Iori. And that should be it before the boss moves. Now I want to be kind of cautious because I think the boss is going to move in a second here. Let's just wait a sec. Yeah, there it goes. Okay, there goes the boss moving. Okay, as you can see, we're kind of low, but we're 51 seconds left. So this is where we kind of want to go kind of YOLO. So let's go ahead and I don't want to use you actually. I want to use turret chick. Come on, give it to me because I don't want to get overcapped is the other thing. Now I want to get the buff up and then we're going to go straight into an Iori. Can we get all 4 of them with the buff? Nice. Take your time with those. Try and get the buff on all of them as well. Really important. You've already got your turret out. Let's go ahead and use you into you. I might need a heal here. No, I'm just going to sacrifice it. What do we got? 13 seconds. So we don't want to use any heals. We don't want to use turret chick. We just want to go absolutely ham. So I think everyone here, if that would stop shaking, I can buff everyone if it would stop shaking. There it goes. Okay, get the buff on everyone. And then we want to use you. And then we'll go like, and now we're screwed. We can't get any more damage out. That's where we're at. And that is going to be where we get to. Which wasn't too, that's actually my best score so far. So you can check your damage as well. As you can see, Iori carrying my team. Binah doing pretty well. Kane's damage, very respectable considering she's a 1-star and she's actually there for the debuff as well. And then we have Tsurugi, who, even though Tsurugi I wasn't really using the ult skill on, still pretty nice. So that's the sort of balanced team. Like I said, Iori, if you can get that attack buff on Iori while the enemy's defense broken and just go ham, it's incredibly nice. So let's go confirm there. And like I said, I can attack into that with my second team now and do a bit more damage. But you know, that one, like everyone got pretty low, but we all survived the whole battle, which is kind of the way you want to play it. You don't want to be over healing to a point that's ridiculous. But yeah, like I said, I can normally get this down to about half of where it is now. So sort of around that 220,000, but I'll work on my other teams and see how we can go. Like I said, just to give you a refresh on what I'm looking at doing personally to try and up my score. If we go over here to students, I haven't decided exactly, like, I think I'm going to choose between Junko and also Nonomi. And then I might do one, I don't know if I want, because my problem is those two both have a 5 cost ability. So I might build those two and then like mix them up in my teams. Maybe drop, I haven't decided, but yeah, it just comes down to playing and balancing out your own teams. But those are the two that I'm really looking at building in the next day or two to try and clear that hard mode, the very hard mode. I don't think I'll clear the extreme mode during this raid period, but you know, if we do, I'll take it. But anyway, guys, hope that helped out a little bit. Thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Cheers.